Hi guys, welcome to the Challenge Podcast, the show dedicated to transforming your life. I'm Coach Steve.
And I'm Coach Helen, and we're excited to bring you the best information on exercise, nutrition, mindset and health. Let's get on with the show.
What's up guys, Coach Steve here and welcome back to another episode of the Challenge Podcast. Today I'm joined with Natiesha Olufson. Sorry Nateisha if I pronounced your last name wrong, but Natiesha is one of our Maxine's top 10 finalists from the September Challenge. And you know, Nateisha is from Cairns and she's completed 3 challenges in the past. And this episode is really cool because Nateisha talks about her experiences with previous challenges, how she has always been a fit and a healthy person, but life just creeps up on us. Life gets in the way and, you know, old behaviors slowly make their way into our lives. And it happens when we change our priorities, we change our life, we have new jobs, we have growth in our families, and, you know, our priorities really change from being self-prioritized to, you know, prioritizing other things in our lives. And Nateisha really highlights that in this podcast. So if you find that maybe you're in a situation where you have certain health behaviors that are slowly creeped in, such as you eat lots of sugar or maybe not exercise as much, or you find that you're putting on a little bit of weight, this is the episode you want to listen to. So sit back, relax, and listen to this podcast with Nateisha. What's up guys, Coach Steve here and welcome to another episode of the Challenge Podcast. Today I have with me one of Maxine's top 10 finalists, Natiesha Olufson. Nateisha, welcome to the Challenge Podcast.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Steve, for having me.
I'm so excited to spend a little bit of time chatting to you about your challenge experience. Now, you recently just found out you were in the top 10 just a couple of weeks ago. How are you feeling now that the challenge is over and you found out that you made the top 10?
Well, I couldn't believe that I made the top 10, to be honest. When I got the phone call, I was a little bit like, oh my gosh, really? I honestly, I couldn't believe it. I was so thrilled. But like since the challenge was finished, I've been feeling really good. I've been continuing on with my training and my eating. Obviously over the Christmas period, it's, you know, dipped down a little bit, but always training every day. And I'm just loving it so much.
Amazing. You know, your transformation is quite amazing. And we're going to talk about it in a moment because I know that you've done quite a few challenges now and we're going to find out, you know, what made this challenge the special one. But Nateisha, would you like to start by maybe introducing yourself, you know, letting us know where you're from, what you do for work and who you are?
Yeah, cool. So yes, obviously my name's Nateisha. I live in Cairns. I was born and bred in Cairns. Also lived up on the Tablelands, which is just my parents own bakeries and businesses in and around Cairns. So I've always lived here. My husband and I own a real estate office, which we have done so for the last 9 years. So that definitely has its challenges and we love it up here in Cairns and it's a great place to live. And I have 2 young boys, Odin and Harvey. They're 5 and 3 and they definitely keep me busy as well as a business. So
5 and 3, 2 and 5. Well, Nateisha, would you like to start by talking to us about why you decided to start the September challenge?
Great. I actually have done the challenge in the past. The first challenge that I did do was after I had my first, Odin. I had lost a heap of weight just from breastfeeding and just generally just been on the go. And then I did the challenge basically just to gain muscle. I didn't do it with the intention to lose any weight. I just wanted to gain muscle. So I did that and I really, really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. After that, like over the past few years, ever since I kind of turned 30 a couple of years ago, I just felt the weight slowly creeping on. I was never overweight, but I just didn't feel comfortable in my clothes and I wasn't happy about how I looked in the mirror. So yeah, I just wanted to do this challenge this time just because, you know, always once I hit that 30, I really found it really difficult. I found that my metabolism changed. I had to change what I was eating and exercising. And to be honest, we had just been so busy in our business over the last 12 months that I just haven't had time to myself. And I said to my husband, I said, nope, that is it. I am doing this challenge and I'm committing myself to it. And yeah, I guess the results spoke for themselves.
Yeah, you know, your transformation is quite amazing and something you should be very proud of.
Thank you.
And I think you highlighted 2 very common barriers to our fitness and our health journey. And one being a business and then 2 being our family. And I think as we age, our priorities, you know, slowly change where once our bodies were very important, then our priorities changed to, you know, my kids are very important. You know, you got 2 kids that are under 5. and then my business is important. Like these things change, and habits change, and then your normal day might have been go for a walk and doing some exercise and eating good food, and now you're worried about answering phone calls and emails and everything, and that's completely normal. And it's amazing that you were able to identify that these behaviors have changed and then make steps to move back. Was there any very specific moment when you said, Nateisha, I'm not happy with the way I look, we need to do something about it? Was there like one specific moment that triggered?
Not particularly. I guess once my clothes started to feel a little bit tight, and I just didn't feel myself. Like I put on a couple of kilos. I never used to weigh myself or anything. And I jumped on the scales and I'd put on over 4 kilos I think it was about 5 kilos before I started the challenge. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never been over that weight except when I was pregnant. So it kind of got to that point where I was like, nope, that's enough. Like no more crap food, no more just being lazy. I've got to do something for myself. Yeah. And like having the kids, I was just making every excuse under the sun just to, I'm too busy or this or that. But no, you've just got to make the commitment to just stick to it and have that time to yourself because it's good for you as well.
Yeah. And that saying of how can you look after somebody else if you can't look after yourself, right? And I think as parents, I'm not a parent, but I know that parents change their priorities to their kids and to, businesses, and, you become second. And maybe you've experienced that your performance in your business life and your performance as a mother has changed or improved now that you've been looking after your body. Is that something you've experienced?
Oh, definitely. Like I think the first 4 weeks was probably the hardest because, getting into a routine and getting stuck into it. I think that was the first 4 weeks I found the most difficult. But then from then on, and I just think that my business, my mental health, everything has just improved dramatically just from being active and having that time to myself.
Well, the next question here is talking about challenges, and you might have alluded to some already. Over the course of this specific September challenge, what has been your biggest challenge or obstacle that you had to overcome?
Well, I think over this 12 weeks, life really threw me some curveballs. To be honest, I was surprised that I could finish the challenge, the amount of life curveballs that got thrown at me. But to be honest, it was just life in general. My son broke his arm twice in the 12 weeks. So we were in and out of hospital appointments. I had a family reunion holiday on Hamilton Island. And that was right at the beginning of the challenge. And it was like eating and drinking and going out to dinner. So that was definitely the first hurdle. And then my youngest son was in hospital getting his tonsils removed. So staying on track and training and eating well could have proven difficult. But I managed to stay on track and I just didn't give up. I just knew what I wanted and I was just super focused.
Yeah. So what did you do to help you to stay on track? Did you write in a journal? Did you make time to go to the gym and to meal prep and such? Like, what did you do to stay on track?
I definitely made the time to go to the gym. Like there was definitely some non-negotiables that I made with myself that I must go to the gym. And with eating, it was just a matter of just sticking to the program and just doing it. And I've done it before, so I knew what was kind of involved. If anything, I found that this time around the food was a lot more flexible and not as strict from the first time that I did it. And I found that it wasn't as boring. So it was kind of easy to stay on track with the food. And just with training, I just made a commitment to myself that was what I was doing and that was it. Nothing was going to stop me. So I think once you make that commitment to yourself, you just got to just do it. And, I said to my husband, I said, this is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. And he just supported me the whole way through. So I think that helped as well.
Yeah, that environment is so important. And your husband's done a couple of challenges himself, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, he has. Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually did join this challenge because I said, come on, let's do it together. And he was like, okay, yep, I want to do it. But then he's just so busy with work and it's just been hectic, and not that that's any excuse because I still managed to do it. But I just think he wasn't committed to it as much as I was committed to it. And then we had all the holidays and stuff and it just all went out the window. But he has done it before and finished it.
Oh, good. Now, I want to talk about your previous experiences with the challenge. And you kind of mentioned how, we've slowly modified the challenge from in the past. And I want to ask you, how has this September challenge experience for you been different to the attempts that you've made in the past of doing the challenge?
I'd say This time it was for different reasons. The first time was for me to obviously gain muscle and just to put on weight because I just lost that much weight. And then this time around was more for me to just change my body shape and just get back to feeling good. So I think like the first time around, because my husband did it as well that first time around, and he had amazing results from it. And I had good results as well, but it was just a muscle gain thing for me. It wasn't a massive transformation. And he just said that the food was just so much stricter than what it is now. Like there was a couple of times where you could have ice cream. Like what kind of food challenge has ice cream? And I have so many friends who have done F45 challenges and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't even have coffee. Like that's how kind of strict it is. And, you know, just stuff like that. I just think that the food this time around was a lot more easier to follow. And I think if you deprive yourself of something for so long with food and then you don't have it, you tend to fall off the bandwagon a lot quicker because there's so many temptations. But if you know that there's a little treat at the end of one of the weeks, then I think you stick to it a lot easier.
Yeah, I think you nailed on the head there. Like so when it comes to nutrition plans, there are really clean and very appropriate nutrition plans that are very strict and will work for a lot of people. But the problem lies in adherence to those plans. And I think we've identified that in the challenge where you're better off to plan your nutrition so that you can have an ice cream if you want, because, you know, you're allowed to have an ice cream. We're human, but it's about how we manage that and how we develop good habits long term. And I hope that now that you've kind of identified yourself that, hey, I'm allowed to have ice cream if I'd like to, I might have to adjust my food around so that I can do that. Or I'm allowed to go on a family holiday to Hamilton Island. I might need to adjust my training, my food around because life gets in the way and nobody's perfect. And I'm going to be the first to admit I'm not perfect. You know, over Christmas time, just recently, I had alcohol and cakes and everything in between, but I allowed myself, I forgave myself for having that and I managed that into my training plan. I think that's powerful if you've learned that and taken that away from the challenge. Now, talking about learning things, the next question here is what have you learned either about yourself, emotionally, physically, or about nutrition and fitness and health over the past 12 weeks of this challenge?
Probably that I can do it and that my determination and my commitment paid off. I think people underestimate themselves and one tiny little speed bump or life challenge just throws them off, but you just have to want it. It's funny, I was talking to my husband about it and he said, you know, the whole entire 12 weeks you didn't complain once. You never complained that your muscles were sore. You never complained that you had to eat healthy. You just got on with it. And I think that's one thing that I really learned about myself is that if I do commit myself to something, I will do it and I am committed to doing it. Yeah, I just think just having that commitment and proving to myself that I did it, that's been probably the best thing that I've learned about myself. And obviously the food and the nutrition as you go along and you learn things along the way. But otherwise, I think it's just more so for me, that's what it was. Just it was more of a mental thing for me.
I love that. It's so powerful. And I've spoken about this before. And I think some of the most amazing transformations that I witnessed from people who start an exercise program isn't a physical transformation. It's that emotional, spiritual transformation of exactly what you said. I can do it. And that confidence translates over into a lot of aspects of our lives. And, you know, you might say, hey, I can ask that person out, or I can go get a job, or I can move house, and I can do these things because you've now identified that I can lift weights and I can control my body. And I think that's really powerful what you've learned. You know, you've done such an amazing transformation, Nateisha, and, you know, something to be very, very proud of. So my next question is, what's your goal from here? Like, what are you planning to do with your fitness and your health journey?
I'd probably just say just to continue to improve on my fitness. And I would say to probably help and inspire other ladies or men who want to do the challenge in 2020. I think being an inspiration for people is really helpful because you've been there and done that. And I have convinced actually a few of the girls in my office to do the 2020 challenge, and they're really excited and they're like, oh, I'm just so scared about the training and I've never done, you know, training like that before. They've either done F45 and there's a coach there. They've never had to physically do it themselves. And I'm like, you'll be fine. Like, you just have to have the confidence that you'll be fine. And Google is amazing. Like, if you're not sure, just Google it or ask me, come and ask me. So yeah, I think just being a bit of an inspiration for other people is probably obviously taking on being a top 10 ambassador is going to assist me with that. But yeah, I just want to inspire people to get healthy and fit and bring on 2020.
I love it. I love it. New decade, new you kind of thing. Yeah, I love that. Now, leading on from there, I want to talk about advice. If someone is listening to this and they're either currently doing the challenge or are thinking about doing the challenge or are just interested in, improving their fitness, their health, what advice would you give somebody if they ask for help?
I would say just keep going. Some days are hard, some days are easy. Don't give up. The reward at the end is achievement. Be proud of what you've achieved. Even if you finish, even if you become a top 10, that's amazing. But I didn't expect at all to become a top 10. And I think just the achievement of actually finishing the challenge is what you should be excited about and happy about, that you've achieved it. And just stick to it because it works. Like if you look at all the top 10, the transformations are amazing. The top 3 ladies are amazing. Like they worked hard. And if you stick to it, it does work.
Beautiful. Great advice. Nateisha, let's wrap it up there. Thank you so much for donating some of your time to be part of the Challenge podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing you as one of our ambassadors in 2020. And I know that you'll become a role model to so many women and men around Australia in improving their fitness and their health. So thank you for being part of the Challenge podcast.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Steven.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you like the show, share it with a friend or leave us a review on iTunes to help us spread the good word.
See you next time.